Okay, I'm going to wake you up a little bit here, and
Sure.
thank you very much for helping me tonight.
Oh
Um,
no, no,
because
no,
you
not at
know
all.
what I'd like to talk about is dignity.
Hmm.
We are people who live in society, but we're also individuals. And
Yes.
when our individual sovereignty and our feeling of human rights and ethics and morality is assaulted, we
Hmm.
call that an affront to our dignity. And
Yes.
in the old days, it maybe still today, I'm not sure really, but in the old days, if you insulted somebody's dignity, they would
Hmm.
challenge you to a duel.
That's right.
And they would say, "How dare you besmirch me?" And I'm going to pull out my, my black powder 45 caliber
Hmm.
handgun, and we're going to stand at 20 paces apart, and we're going to blow each other away and see who's right about who's insulting or not. Now, that's of
Correct.
course unacceptable, using violence to settle intellectual disputes.
Hmm.
But the concept of one's dignity being eroded or being
Yes.
attacked is certainly hasn't changed.
Hmm.
But I believe that many people have lost the concept. And
Oh.
they've lost the concept because they've allowed themselves to become soft. They've lo-
Yes, indeed.
yeah, allowed their human dignity to become eroded.
Hmm.
And I'm going to say right now, and I hope you can interject and give your own opinion.
Certainly.
How exactly has it been eroded? It's been eroded through stupefaction of media,
Yes.
movies, entertainment,
Yep.
what the Romans used to call bread and circuses.
Hmm.
Okay, we've been blinded by a lot of distractions, and we've also been stupefied and lost connection with our human dignity due to material overabundance
Right.
and luxurious
Hmm.
lifestyle. In other words, many people care about their new car
Of course.
more than the behavior of their own children.
Indeed.
They don't care that kids are sitting there playing computer games all night and getting indoctrinated with all kinds of violent, abusive scenarios through these computer games. And they don't
Hmm.
even understand that, and they allow them to be, influenced by the World Wide Web. That's like leaving your front door open and allowing random people to just drive by your home and come on in and shit on your carpet if
Hmm.
they feel like it. And how can
Yes.
you allow your children to be exposed to that? Well, you don't care because you've got a brand new car and you've got a job and you've got money and you've been distracted from that. So you've lost your own dignity because you've lost control of your family.
Correct. Correct. I think the during the last several generations, I mean,
Mhm.
this particular newer generations,
Mhm.
um, the dynamics of a family, the
Mhm.
concept of a family has uh, vastly altered
Yes.
in a sense that a lot of them don't even have a strong concept of what it means to be a family.
What about rules? Does it?
Well, there's no hard rules, but at least the family comprised of
Mhm.
the biological
Yep.
parents and the kids
Mhm.
that forms the basis of a family.
Mhm.
And the parents' core roles and responsibilities, other than giving birth to them,
Yep.
passing down their DNAs to their offsprings,
Yeah.
called the children's, but also the parents ought to also take on the responsibilities of the proper upbringing of the children,
Now that's what I mean.
other than,
Yeah. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong with
other,
rules. When I say rules, I mean concepts, ideas,
Yes,
morals and ethics.
that's right.
You know,
Correct.
it's not laws. It's not like say I'm the dad
That's
and you
right.
do what I say and this is my rule. I don't
Correct.
mean that. I
Correct.
mean
Correct.
guidelines that are not inflexible and not
That's right.
dogmatic, but are educational and encompassing and full of love and create dignity in the children, just
Absolutely
as we need dignity in the parents.
correct. Correct. Mutual respect and dignities are part of the core structure of a family model.
Now, do you think that
Okay.
this is eroded somehow by certain
It has
influences?
been eroded to a very significant degree, meaning
Okay.
that the parents were not fully committed to their responsibilities, serving as moral guidance and
That's
support to their
exactly what I was trying to
kids.
make as a point. We've been
And
distracted and pulled away from our
that's
responsibilities.
right. Part of the deal is that they pass that part of the responsibilities to the mainstream media
Yes,
as well as the internet and the social
yes.
media.
And teachers
That's right.
and community
Public
influencers.
educations, the community
Yeah.
surrounding
And
them. They,
TikTok influencers.
you bet,
And
you bet.
Facebook, I don't know, games and
That's right.
shall we say social entrapments. Like
That's right.
I've got 5,000 friends. How many do you have?
Hmm. Not a whole lot.
Or something like you've been deleted from my friends group. Oh,
That's right.
how
That's right.
how emotionally depraved is that kind of structure, which is outside the family?
That's
How
right.
the hell is my child being influenced emotionally by something that is not my family? Where'd that start? How'd that happen? How come their
It all
information is being.
started in during the children's very young age. I've seen that during the last generation or two,
Mm-hmm.
shortly after the kids were born in very young, tender age, the
Mm-hmm.
parents, because they're busy minding their own business
Yes.
or doing something, doing something else, they
Yes.
usually hand over an electronic device such as iPads or cell
Yes.
phones or something, put on the children's show,
Yes.
worthless, meaningless activities. Basically, we call it an artificial pacifier of some
Yes.
sort,
And is it a
keeping the kids
babysitter? Is it a
occupied and
babysitter
busy
because you're too
without them.
lazy?
That's right. Well, they themselves are not particularly lazy. They themselves mostly have lost
Mm-hmm.
or either fully or partially lost interest in taking on their own fundamental
That
responsibilities.
is absolutely shocking. And I can't
Hmm.
emphasize more how
Hmm.
harmful and corrosive that is to our
Hmm.
society. Because our
Right.
society begins at home.
That's
And I've
right.
seen this myself in the last 20
Hmm.
or 30 years, and it's accelerated
Hmm.
lately, where you see this phenomena where the parents have no connection with the
That's right.
social influence that their children are undergoing. Now, if you
Correct.
lived in a small town or even on the block 50 years ago, then you would tell your kids, well, don't go and play with him because he smokes and he drinks and he's a bad kid and his dad's a mafia gang leader. And and then but that family over there, they're very nice, and we have dinner with them regularly, and they're very
Hmm.
upright and moral, and we agree with their concepts of how best to live in the world. And I'd like you to meet their children and play with them.
Right.
But unfortunately, we now live in a world where the parents have no idea which family or which influence their children live in.
Correct.
They're now absent without leave.
That's right.
They're now influenced without protection.
Correct.
And they're now damaged beyond control. And I think
Hmm.
this is absolutely horrible. And that's one of the reasons why we are being victimized by outside influences that can easily break us away from our fundamental sovereignty, our fundamental dignity, and even our fundamental democracy. It's easy to take us for a ride because we've lost
Right.
control of our own families. So, how can we even control our own governments, our own society, our own community? We can't control anything because we've given up our sovereignty.
Correct.
And I
It
feel
was
ashamed.
designed to be that way.
I feel ashamed.
Yes. Well, yeah, it is extremely appalling. But
Absolutely.
all hope is not lost, however,
I do have hope.
and the most well, by first starting to refocus
Yes.
and put attention back into the family,
Yes.
reconstruct the family from
Yes.
ground up, pay
Absolutely.
particular attention. I mean, even something as simple as establishing a basic relationship with your kids
Let's talk about communication.
and talk about all kinds of
What
things
do you did?
from,
What did you do today? What did you play a
that's
game
right.
today? What kind of information went into your head today?
That's right. So, I mean, communication is the very foundation of a family.
Exactly.
And, you know, and parents must not take on a judgmental position, but a position as a leader,
Exactly.
a role model, a guide, not so much as a preacher, but more like a guidance, a friend
Yes.
who share experience
Yes.
and talk about things. But most
Yes.
importantly, make sure the kids are aware that you are not being judgmental at all times.
Right.
You just serve as a friend. You just serve as somebody who has a lot more experience
Yes.
and also caring and sharing things with the
Absolutely.
children.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
And one more.
Once
Yes. Keep going.
Yes, once you have established that consistent relationship and
Mm-hmm.
behavior,
Mm-hmm.
then it will over time gradually foster a stronger, more cohesive family
The word
relationship.
is respect.
And yes, respect and dignity shall come naturally.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You're very well
So long
spoken
as the
on that.
kids are not so long as you treat the kids with respect,
They will treat you
which
with
they are,
respect.
that's right, they will be fine. They will grow up to be a
And if you
moral
yes.
and accountable
Yes.
member of the society.
Yes. And the problem that we have is, like, I don't want to say that I'm an anachronist, that I believe that the past is better than the future. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about immortal concepts which go beyond time.
Mhm.
They're not historically, focused. The
Yes.
concept of a cohesive family where the parents teach their children how to best grow their own spirituality and their own souls in a historical context, in a societal context, given the time and place in which they live. That concept, it has nothing to do with whether you're in 2022
Right.
or 1022
Yes.
or 22.
Hmm.
AD 22. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with the universal concepts of how we can grow and how we can learn through our lives on this planet Earth.
That is indeed the case.
And one of the things that shocks me and saddens me
Hmm.
and makes me feel that something has to be done is when I see that
Hmm.
mechanism for human evolution,
Hmm.
for societal improvement, and for
Hmm.
family communion, when I see that mechanism assaulted and attacked. And it's
Hmm.
not by accident. It's not just because the medium of the
Hmm.
internet is, it's like TV. It's not just the medium that accidentally is polluting our children with all kinds of violent video games. Do you think that's an accident? Do you think that the video games should be violent? Where'd that come from? And
No, it was set. It was deliberately introduced
yeah,
the way I see
yeah, and the concept of competition itself. I mean, why should you be fighting with your friends? Shouldn't you be working together to help each other in school,
it.
especially at a young
Hmm.
age? You know, these concepts, these are things that are being imbued into the consciousness of your own children, and you don't even know what's going on because you yourself have been distracted from your responsibilities to raise your own family.
That's right. That's right.
You made the
So,
kids.